好，各位網友，各位教聯會嘅會員，各位同工，咁歡迎大家收睇教聯網台説出你的正能量。今日咧非常之開心，請到一位重量級嘅嘉賓，盛智文先生 ，Mr. Alan Seaman. Thank you very much for your coming. Let's think about the financial secretary budget just addressed soon.
Yes.
Yeah. And how do you think about the so-called the $10,000 just giving directly to our citizen?
I think that Paul Chan, the financial secretary, personally, I think this was probably the best budget he has ever done in the 4 times, the best one.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not easy when you're doing a budget, especially in today's time of Hong Kong, the trouble in Hong Kong, protest, finish the protest, then move to the coronavirus. And so it's very difficult. He needs to help a lot of the SMEs, the small, medium enterprises, businesses, will go bankrupt if they don't have help from the government. Most people have cash flow of 1 month or 2 months, and then no more money. And we have in Hong Kong a very difficult society, because you have the very rich, and then you have the middle class that maybe doesn't have so much money, and the poor, the rents are very, very high. I think the fact that he decided to give $10,000 to each Hong Kong resident, I think that it'll be a good start maybe to, once the virus is finished, we can circulate that money back into the economy. People can start spending some money. Small businesses can start to at least survive for a little bit until everything finishes. So in general, he did not just a $10,000 per person, but tax for many companies up to $20,000, rent relief rates, electricity, many different candy bonuses he gave to many of the companies in Hong Kong. So in essence, if you look at the budget, it really was very, very well done this time. And I actually sent him a WhatsApp to congratulate him, to tell him that I really thought he did a good job. And in talking to many people, especially media people, editors, and they also thought it was very, very good. So I respect them, because lucky Hong Kong government has a lot of money for a rainy day, and now we have a storm, not just a rainy day.
Yeah, but some people argue for so-called consumption voucher rather than the directly giving money. How do you think about it?
One thing I learned, some people will always argue. If you give this, you give left, they want right. You give right, they want left. Everybody is not always happy. That's human nature, not just Hong Kong, but everywhere in the world. That's just human beings. I think that if you give vouchers, I think that it's sometimes it's more difficult to distribute. Number one, even giving the $10,000 is not easy to distribute to everyone. Maybe through the banks, maybe through different things. Giving vouchers is more difficult to get to people. Maybe some people won't receive. Very difficult to do it. So in theory, it sounds good. But what's the difference whether it's a voucher or cash? Same. So I mean, that's why I don't really agree with those people that talk about a voucher. Because maybe they don't know what they're talking about.
just opposing some every policies from government.
Exactly.
But as a middle class, I'm more concerned with the economic impacts in long term rather than in short term austerity. How do you think about these big epidemic issues or outbreak to our long term economy and society?
The coronavirus, or COVID-19 as they call it now, is a very, very serious problem, not just for Hong Kong, for the world at the moment. It started the end of December in China, and obviously affected HongOng and Macau at the same time. The rest of the world was very smart. It's a China problem, it's Hong Kong problem. Now what's happened is the rest of the world is waking up, and it's affecting the whole world right now. China actually did a very, very good job in kind of putting a wall around Wuhan and Hubei province. Not many countries in the world could do something like that. So I respect China, and in listening to some experts this morning from China, they predict that by April, end of April, the virus will have slowed down, which I tend to agree, because you can see it's already slowing down in many parts of China. Hubei is still affected quite drastically, but it's also getting better there. Hong Kong, on the other hand, again, I respect the government in Hong Kong because they actually did a very, very good job. With 7.5 million people in Hong Kong, only so far as of today, 100 people have been affected. Of the 100 people, a big portion, more than 15 people, were affected from the Buddhist temple in North Point, who are members of the Buddhist temple. About 10 or more were affected from the Diamond Princess ship in Japan. So and then 15 were a family having hot pot and sharing a hot pot in a restaurant. So basically, the numbers for Hong Kong are pretty good, and with all that, only 2 deaths. And so I really, in this case, I know government has got criticized a lot for many things. In this case, I really believe the government did a very, very good job. And as a matter of fact, Dr. Gabriel Choi from the Hong Kong University actually made a statement that Hong Kong and Singapore are really the gold standard for this virus, protecting for really showing how to protect against this virus. So this was really something that was something very, very special, where I really I'm very happy for the government. The big problem we face, of course, is that Hong Kong and the rest of the world has never faced a problem like this. SARS was a different kind of event. It was started in Guangdong, which was closer to Hong Kong and really affected Hong Kong, but it was a short period of time. And so people were able to overcome it. The coronavirus, or COVID-19, actually affects many people because it's much quicker to transmit than the SARS. The good news is it's not as violent as SARS. But those people that have predisposed conditions like heart or kidney or something older generation, those people are not immune to it, and they will, many people will die because of it. It affected business in a way. The government had no choice but to close down the border. And they did the right thing by leaving open the airport, which is the lifeline of Hong Kong, and also Shenzhen Bay, which we have so many people crossing the border between Hong Kong residents, Hong Kong and China. You needed to have something open. The bridge between Hong Kong and Macau is a non-event. So basically, the borders were closed. The big problem we have is generally we get 100,000 people a day coming from China to Hong Kong in the past. Now, because of the closure, you get 3,000 people a day. Hong Kong's economy was based on tourism. If, last year, 65, 70 million tourists, 75, 80% were from China, mainland China. The shopping malls, hotels, restaurants, airport, everything revolves around tourism. It's all built on. That's why the rents are so high, because mainland tourists come to buy goods, take back to China. Today, with 3,000 people a day coming instead of 100,000, it's affected all the service industries. Hotels, many hotels only have 6% occupancy. It's affected so many different, the airport, we used to have 350 flights every day. Now we only have 130 flights coming in every day, 1/3 of the total amount we used to have. Without tourists, Hong Kong is only 7.5 million people. We can't survive. The businesses can't survive. The whole structure would need to change. The longer this goes on, the more damage it will create for Hong Kong. I'm hoping that the experts in China are right, that by end of April, it can slow down, and hopefully Hong Kong can recover pretty quickly. The big problem is if the rest of the world is only catching it now, they'll probably go to end of June, end of July. Because of globalization, everything is intermingled. So that would still affect China and Hong Kong, but at least it would be a start where more mainlanders can come back to Hong Kong. We must have tourism, because tourism actually it employs so many people. It's around 30% of Hong Kong's GDP. And it's a very, very big, it's a fact. And it's a very, very big employer for many, many people. If we don't have tourism, Hong Kong will die.
But some opinions, especially from the opposition camp, argue that there is a de facto blockade between the mainland China and Hong Kong. So let's weaken the link between the mainland China and Hong Kong economy, and let's build a so-called yellow circle economy. Is it realistic?
Those pan-democrats are dreaming.
Dreaming.
If you just depend on a yellow economy, you will not survive. You'll be a little town, a little city. All of the big financial services will leave Hong Kong. You'll be going backwards to becoming a small town. The thing, many are my friends. They need to say things in order to stay in power, and maybe they believe it. But if they believe it, I feel very bad for them because they absolutely don't know about business. One thing I know a bit about is business. And if any country or any city that closes off the borders will die in the long run. Today, we're living in a world of technology, IT, internet, so many things that are so vital to economies. You know, Hong Kong, of course, I agree one thing, Hong Kong needs to change. We can't just depend on property market and financial services. That is not, we must get more into technology. We must, universities we have some very, very good universities, and we have to have students who learn more about medicine, so many things that are available to Hong Kong. The other thing that the growth of Hong Kong will be the Greater Bay Area. Those pan-democrats have no idea what they're talking about. The Greater Bay Area is 70 million people within an hour and a half to 2 hour radius of Hong Kong, all in southern China. Last year they had a GDP of 1.5 trillion US dollars. And if Hong Kong can be the financial center and plus the university center for the Greater Bay Area, everybody will have prosperity. Hong Kong has a fundamental problem. Our property prices are too high. That needs to be addressed by the government. That for sure. We need to house everyone, give them a decent house, give them something special, not to cut off China from the rest of Hong Kong or Hong Kong for the rest of China. That is really a very, very ridiculous statement with people who have no idea what they're talking about. And then you have, unfortunately, with social media today, which is very dangerous, you have a lot of fake news on social media, and people follow what they read because it's on social media, especially the young population. Listen, I read a lot of social media, and you really need to understand what's fake and what's real, and really
perception is reality.
And really think, because many people, because it's on the internet, it's real. It doesn't work that way. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about.
But It is a very big and controversial issue about the Greater Bay Program.
Right.
How do you think about the prospect of the Greater Bay Program, especially the epidemic hitting mainland China economy so much?
I think that the Greater Bay Area will be the future for southern China. China realizes that.
South China, including Hong Kong.
Including Hong Kong. If Hong Kong doesn't want to take part, no problem, we'll just be left behind.
Yeah.
That's going ahead, whether Hong Kong is in or out.
Yeah.
Macau can benefit, Shenzhen can benefit, everyone can benefit. The people of Hong Kong will be eating rice.
Yeah.
Won't
So
be
many
eating,
substitutes.
They won't be eating caviar.
Yeah.
You know, they'll be very poor people instead of having the ability to gain more money, have a better life for their families. I understand why people are unhappy at the moment because of their lifestyle is very difficult in Hong Kong. The Greater Bay Area will really give you a chance to go and have a much bigger population, and you can all make money, you can live better, you can have more space, you can literally, and the system will not change. One country, two systems. Yes, we've grown up under the two systems. Of course, China believes in one country. Hong Kong people believe in two systems comes first, you know. I believe that we can work together if we're smart. And the idea is really to be smart. But really, government needs to take the lead to show the people that their housing will get better. And eventually, universal suffrage will come. I mean, if we look at the election that's going on in the US right now, it's a mess. You want everyone, people are carrying flags, the American flags and whatever. If they really understand the US, I know the US very, very well. If they really understand the US, I feel sad for them because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they're doing. They're carrying an American flag or a UK flag. If they tried to do what they were doing in Hong Kong in the US, the National Guard would come in, and the police would not be the enemy. The National Guard would be using real bullets to kill so many people because they've done it so many times. And so this is something that Hong Kong really has been very, very tolerant, and many people around the world cannot believe what's going on. A lot of time you get the politicians like the Americans saying, oh, Hong Kong is taking away our rights and human rights and all that. That's political. They're doing it to get votes in the United States. They don't care about Hong Kong. They don't even know Hong Kong, most of them. And so don't be naive. I know the US. Don't be naive. I know it. You go there and then you'll understand what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking through my hat. I'm talking about experience.
Do you have any suggestion, especially specific suggestion to our Hong Kong young people, and especially with them with very, very prejudiced?
I think that young people have a great opportunity for Hong Kong. I understand the problems that you face. No hope, the divide between rich and poor. But this divide is not just in Hong Kong. It's a phenomena all over the world. Americans are suffering from it. Europeans are suffering from it. We see Europe, you see refugees leaving their home, you know, and trying to come to another country. You see the UK blocking, they now come out of the EU. So if you look at it, open your eyes to young people. This is not just a Hong Kong phenomena. This is something that we need to work together. I agree the government has been quite lax because the system that we have inherited comes from the British system. Nothing has changed post-97. The British had land auction, sell the land for a very expensive price, fill your coffers, fill your reserves with the money instead of spending it on the people. I say no. Now is the time to spend the money on getting proper flats. If you look at Singapore, over 90% of the population in Singapore owns their own home. The government made sure that everyone, Lee Kuan Yew was very smart. He made sure everyone can own a home. And Singapore gives 99-year mortgages. So everyone, the mortgages are tailored so that everyone can afford a flat. And so I say to the young people, you have opportunity to work with and join the government, join LegCo. You have an opportunity to change the government, to change the thinking of the government. China already knows the problems of Hong Kong. They're not asking Hong Kong government to keep property prices high. They want property prices to be low so everyone can enjoy a house. And I believe that I think the government's getting the message now. I know they're talking about the Lantau reclamation. I don't think that will ever happen. I think that we have enough land around. Even if we need to take 1 or 2% from country parks, we have a lot of country parks. And so there's a lot of room to do things if we're smart, if we think out of the box. Young people today, no matter if you graduate from university, I know the salaries have been pretty low and people don't have hope, young people don't have hope. The Greater Bay Area, again, gives people hope. Not only Greater Bay Area, all of China, and the rest of the world. The world is a big place. If you have an idea and you think you can make a go of it, you can make a business, then do it. Then go do it. When I first came, when I was 19 years old, I started my own business. I didn't have money. My father died when I was 7 years old. But I picked myself up. I didn't sit and cry and complain about the government or complain about universal suffrage or whatever. I came from Canada and the US to Hong Kong across the world 48 years ago when people thought Hong Kong is on the moon. They didn't know where Hong Kong was. And at that time, I was young and aggressive and had an idea that I wanted to go into business and start my own business. And I made my first million when I was 19 years old without money. So you can have a chance to do that as well to young people. Everyone has the chance. The opportunity is there for everyone. If you want to complain, everyone can complain. It's easy to complain.
It's
but
very easy.
Only those people that really have the energy to think, how can I do it? Look at Jack Ma from Alibaba. He didn't have a lot of money. He got together with 17 friends and started Alibaba and almost went bankrupt 3 times before they were able to start. Pony Ma of Tencent, the same thing. And I can go on and on. There's so many famous people today that started with nothing but had a good idea and some guts. So young people, I say to you today, get a good education, but then don't get down on yourself. Get a good education and then use that education to go out and have a good life for yourself and change the things that you're not happy about. Eventually, universal suffrage will come, but that's not the answer to the problems. Around the world, there is no universal suffrage system that I think is good. So at the moment, the system that works well is the one that China has. I'm not saying we should adopt that system, but I'm saying it's helped China. It's brought so many people out of poverty and given the mainland people, 1.4 billion people, a great life. So I'm saying use that to look at a system that works for Hong Kong eventually, that China can live with. Hong Kong, China needs to trust Hong Kong. Show China that they're the landlord. Whether we like it or not, Hong Kong belongs to China. That's not going to change. So the faster you get it through your head, the quicker Hong Kong will be a better place. And so rather than going out and protesting and carrying stupid signs that you don't know what you're talking about, I say to you, be a good citizen and make Hong Kong, as Donald Trump says, make U.S. great again. I say make Hong Kong great again.
Very good. But let's talk about land policy. You talk. Is it politically feasible to make an overhaul policy of the lending or housing?
I think we need to. I think we need to. That's been the big problem for Hong Kong. You know, a house is a fundamental right for a human being. People living
fundamental right, human being.
Human right. 6 people living in a 200 square foot flat is not today's world. That causes problems. That's why we have the problems we have today, because we followed the British system, which was just keep the land prices high, keep the taxes low, and forget about the people in general, you know? So the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. And the land policy, the housing policy definitely needs a total overhaul.
Yeah.
All of government needs a total overhaul. The last time, even the basic law of today, the basic law was written in the 1980s. We're in a different world today.
Yeah.
World of technology. Upgrade some of the things. Yes, there's a framework, but you have to keep upgrading laws. You know, even the legal systems everywhere in the world need to be upgraded to match the times, you know, what's going on in the world today. And so I think that the land policy is one of the most important things for Hong Kong. We solve the land policy, you'll have a happier Hong Kong. Also, the minimum size flat, I believe, should be 450 square feet per flat.
Yeah.
And that's something that I believe is doable, maybe not with this administration, but hopefully in the next administration.
Yes,
You'll have somebody that says, you know what, this is the right way. Let's change everything.
Yeah, we all hope so. The last question, very little question, but very interesting. I asked for children. You, as a refounding father of the Ocean Park and Lan Kwai Fong,
Yes.
but the Ocean Park the children focus on, do you think when the Ocean Park will open again?
That's a very good question,
Yeah.
Joe. Unfortunately,
Because I see that today morning,
Yeah.
there is a long queue in front of the Jockey Club.
yes. I think that Ocean Park, of course, after I left, the management got together and you know, the park was started to go down, was starting to lose money, less mainlanders were coming here, many excuses that were given. And then the management thought that, let's do a new plan, you know, to reinvigorate Ocean Park, spend 10 billion. They've asked the government for 10 billion. Personally, I think it's crazy. I would not spend 10 billion. I would not ask the government for 10 billion. I don't think they'll get it from the government, especially at this time. But it would be a crime to close Ocean Park. The present chairman and the chief executive will be retiring in June of this year.
This year?
Yeah, because they have 6 years, 6-year terms. It finishes in June this year. So they'll be going in another few months. You will have a new CEO coming and a new chairman. What I said publicly and I maintain is that it's unfair to put a new plan with new people who might not think it's a good plan. So why should they do it? My advice is, why don't you go to the government they need maybe 400 or 500 million for 1 year of you know, to stay open for 1 year. They have about 400 million at the moment in the bank, so they can stay open till maybe September of this year. I say go for another maybe 1 billion from LegCo and from the government. Let the new people come. Let them start. Let them look at the plans. Let them look at what needs to be done. I don't believe you need to spend 10 billion to upgrade the park. There's nothing wrong with the park. I just think there's a way to do a few things with new technology, new things that can take even some old attractions and make them feel young again, make them look good by VR, AR, wearing the glasses, you know, many things that are not so expensive that really can work. So I think that there's a good way to keep the park open and let the new people have a chance instead of when you're leaving saying give the park $10 billion, because I don't think that's the right way. The other thing is by this year, probably in September, the new water park will be opened at Ocean Park. We built a new water park. It's beautiful. It's amazing, indoor and outdoor. It's like the old days of Waterworld at Ocean Park. And I promise you, every young person, when you see the new water park in Taishuan, overlooking Deepwater Bay, you will love it. Young people will go crazy. They'll love it. It's going to be something very special. And so I'm hoping that the government can solve the problem with Ocean Park, especially for the young people of Hong Kong. And we'll open up the water park and 2 new hotels, and there'll be a new life for Ocean Park.
just stands for until the situation improves.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you for your coming.
Okay.
好，各位觀眾、各位網友、各位會員，咁啊非常之多謝阿盛智文先生今日嘅採訪。咁我哋希望有個全新嘅角度睇香港嘅經濟同埋海洋公園。多謝各位。Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.